they thought about that last game.
Thank you, Doa. I love to see both teams bowing there. As they mentioned, respect shown by SKT to BKT, and it's much deserved because this team, in my opinion, approached Worlds with absolutely the right mindset. And I truly believe they're going to come out of Worlds with so much because of it.
Yeah, for sure. I think like the games they've shown like interesting qualities. I don't think they were too bad. Like Warlock stepped up in a lot of games. People saw him as a weakness. It's what I heard on social media at least. And in general, I think they should go out of this tournament with their head held up high.
Definitely. And Bangkok Titans have been a part of the Southeast Asian region for so long. They've been everywhere from last to now first. They've had 20-something players. Like, overall, being able to participate in a Worlds, being able to get the culture, like spy on what other teams do to make them so good, they're going to take nothing but success out of this tournament. And they did compete at least on a relatively good level.
And I think participating in the Worlds Finals is a really good experience for them. And I think this experience will let them to rock over the teams in their own region. And I have to give credit for Lloyd because we see his plays today, and there are some mistakes when he's playing Tristana, but he plays decently last game. Against a huge enemy like SKT, his AD performance is just the same as Bang.
Yeah, I think the caster's point about the difference we saw between BKT of week 1 and week 2, just in that span of time, was a massive improvement. Now we flip over to the other side, SKT finishing out their group stage here with the 6-0, undefeated, looking strong as ever. If I dare say so myself, kind of footholding themselves into that position of team to beat.
You do not want to draw SKT. Like, let's just be really upfront. There is a game in the draw coming up, and it is do not get SKT, because those guys, they're monsters. Honestly, teams will go to bed at night and have nightmares about how good this team is, and they play with 2 different mid laners who are both rock stars. Like, I cannot talk about this team highly enough. They are incredibly intimidating.
I have to highlight also, like, coming from this group, I think we have the 2 best junglers in the whole World Championship. Bengi and Clearlove, I'm pretty excited to see them play against the other junglers coming out from the other groups, because I feel in this particular group, it's been like, the metaphor I like to use is like Pac-Man. The other junglers are basically the ghost chasing the Pac-Man, and at some point, like, the Pac-Man is just farming away, picks up the item that allows them to kill the ghost, and that kind of shows, like in the matchup, for example, Bengi against Lulex, he was falling around and then eventually he died, and I think generally, these 2 junglers, they deserve a lot of credit.
Absolutely, 100%. Well, with all of Group C's matches on the books, let's see how the 4 teams stand. SK Telecom will advance to London's quarterfinals as the #1 seed. EDG right behind them in second. They'll be drawn into the knockout round bracket immediately following the final group stage game on Sunday. So be sure to stick around after the final nexus is smashed. And with another 2 teams advancing to London's quarterfinals, it's time to look towards tomorrow, when we'll know who will continue on to the knockout stage from Group D. The action kicks off with an NA versus EU clash between Team Solomid and Origin. KT Rolster squares off against LGD, and then TSM gets back on the Rift against Korea's #3 seed. A quick programming note, the games will be starting 2 hours earlier tomorrow, so make sure that schedule is free and clear, because it all kicks off at noon Central European time, 3 a.m. Pacific, even earlier for us, gentlemen. But when we look at tomorrow's lineup of games, this was a group that turned out entirely differently in week 1 than most people expected. Going into week 2, what are the matchups we're looking at?
I think this group is one of the most exciting group because we can see, I think, in my opinion, I think the average team ability is not that diverse as like today's game. And we can know that the China's #1 seed, LGD, is suffering from 3 losses already. So I hope, because I'm from China, I hope that LGD can have a huge performance, because we know that Flame is going to play tomorrow. So I'm hoping that Flame will be a better top lane when he saw Acorns play in those days.
We'll see if that's enough to make a difference for LGD. However, we look at Origin and KT. Both of these teams looked really strong in week 1.
Yeah, this is what I'm looking forward to. Who stays on top of this group? Because when you look at it, I completely agree. It's kind of like all 4 teams have a fighting chance, and then Origin just came out of nowhere, man, and they look super impressive, especially beating a Korean team around the map. I haven't seen a team do that in a very long time. Am I interested in LGD? Sure, but I want to see whether Origin as a team can stay at that peak performance. Doing it for a week, that's something. But 3 games in 1 day against 3 quality opponents, that's going to be a challenge.
I'm also very excited for Origin because in the past I've always seen Xpeke as a weakness, but in this tournament he's a strength. And with that in mind,
He's a monster in this tournament.
It is so hard to kind of just looking at these teams, especially KT and Origin, it's very hard to highlight weaknesses. You just have to come in with your own strengths, which I'm hoping LGD will finally show.
A very exciting day of games awaits us tomorrow. It's time for us to go to bed. That does it for another day of Worlds. For now, we got to go on cooldown as we gear up for another episode of Worlds tonight. On behalf of myself, the analyst desk, and everyone here working hard to cover the action, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time for more of the 2015 League of Legends World Championship.